Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
I'm Ted.
And today we're going to be talking about and reviewing the Warcraft movie.
If you want to get weekly gaming tips or learn how to game with Nerdarchy, jump down to the description below and sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter.
So both Ted and I recently went out and saw the Warcraft movies with our families.
And loved it.
Oh wait a minute, I didn't go with my family, I went with my son. The rest of the family was elsewhere doing girl stuff. Longwood Gardens, girl stuff.
Well, 3/4 of my family went and saw it.
Nice.
Yeah. Even my, even Teddy, he loved it. He thought it was great.
So my son loved it as well and has no idea what Warcraft is.
Ditto.
I've heard some complaints online about Warcraft that it didn't stick with the lore.
Well, the problem is Warcraft has been around for a long time.
And before we get into anything else, we may spoil some things for you.
Spoilers. A lot of the people who are familiar with Warcraft are the people who are playing the MMO.
Right. Do you think they even know that there was a real-time strategy game based off of Warcraft?
At this point in time...
the MMO was based off of?
At this point in time, I would say that it's a little unlikely that the majority of people are unaware that years and years ago that there was an RTS, and it was called Warcraft.
And you could play it on BattleNet. The BattleNet.
And there's, Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, and, 3 really had some significant storylines, and that's where people began to meet Thrall, which
they all did have storylines. Like there was little mini missions you had to complete.
Yes, but I mean they really focused on in the initial Warcraft, it was racial storylines as opposed to when you got to Warcraft 3 and you started to get into some of these new archetypes that you guys out there playing the MMO are saying, where's the Blood Elves, where's the Night Elves? Those were Warcraft 3 features. That's when that came out. And these storylines that were focused on in the movie, that was the premise of the original RTS. In Azeroth, which I don't even know whether they called it that back then, there was the happy humanoids, and there was no such thing as orcs.
Yeah, humans, dwarves, and elves, they were all getting along. They had peace. It was good times.
And orcs came through a portal and tried to take over.
Orcs do what orcs do. They kick down the door, they smash stuff.
And that is exactly what the movie delivered in a character-centric driven storyline. And they took some of the aspects of the MMO and of Warcraft 3, and they made this rich culture of orcs, and they had that be part of the Warcraft 1 storyline that we saw in a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. I think they laid the ground foundation perfectly. Unfortunately, the movie's not doing that well in the box office, so you guys should go out and watch it.
When I left the movie theater, my wife and I were talking, and she's like, "This is the start of a franchise. Like there is so much that's there set up to be able to go in so many different directions, so many possible movies." And truth be told, I love Blizzard. I've played their games for years. And I'd love to see this become a franchise that we get to see movies for, a decade or more.
But I think Blizzard overlooked something. They made one big glaring mistake.
They didn't bring any star power.
This movie has 0 star power. Now, did the movie lack anything for it? Watching it, experiencing it? No, it was still a great movie. The actors did a great job. So
you've got, Durotan, your primary orc. Was Toby Kebbell. Never heard of him. Was Anduin Lothar? Was that the human? Was he the central human figure?
Yes, I believe so.
So that was Travis Fimmel. I don't.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of actors we've never heard of, but the characters we've heard of the characters before. The characters are from Warcraft. They're from the stories. You know, one of the coolest parts for me was when I recognized the setup for future movies and go, oh my God, that's going to be Thrall.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they had the orc baby, the amount of dramatic tension that they brought to the storyline on both the orcs and the human sides was incredible, especially on the orc side. They really did a great job of humanizing the orcs, for lack of a better word, and making them, you know, more than just the monsters, just the villains in this movie.
And the amount of setup was amazing, and you care about all of them, and to see some of the stuff that happens, it's just like, oh.
There's bittersweet moments in it. There's betrayals that you didn't see coming. There,
layers of betrayal, technically.
Yeah, layers, of red herrings and all kinds of really cool things. We got to see one demon, and they did a great job. The demon looked amazing, and who that demon is and how that comes about is really cool.
Well, I mean, just the layers of culture that was put into it. How many times throughout the movie is Dorothan talking to his wife or someone talking to the kid, and they talk about, you're the line of unbroken chieftains, and you see things that are clearly like Orcish rituals. Or things that are done.
Their heritage, their culture,
and it's amazing that they put that in there, and it didn't seem like we're shoving this down your face.
No, it just flowed.
It flowed. It was the screenplay was written by Charles Levitt and Duncan Jones. As much as I actually really enjoy screenplays, I don't know those names, so I don't know what kind of history they have, but.
Who's the director for this one?
The director for this one is Duncan Jones. So
the same writer, director. But the movie just flowed so well. Did it pass your test?
I loved it.
No.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't. I don't look at my test is that I look at my watch. Not that I actually wear one. But
if you did,
if things slow down enough that I question how long has it been, that's my test. And in this movie, it had me the entire time. I left the movie wanting more. I want to know what happens to this storyline. What's going to happen between this character and that character.
So one of the things I really enjoy about the franchise and the movie is, like, Lord of the Rings, we have a version of an orc, right?
Mm-hmm.
D&D, we have a version of an orc. We have our own preconceived notions. Well, Warcraft introduces their own orc, right?
Mm-hmm.
And their orcs are huge. They're like Orogs in D&D.
Right.
They're not quite the size of ogres, but they're way bigger than a D&D orc.
Absolutely.
They're massive. They're broad. Their hands can encompass a human's head. The battle scenes in this movie were spectacular. This movie is everything I would want from a D&D movie.
Mm-hmm.
They just did everything so well.
I agree. I can't say enough that I want more.
Yeah, like the way the orcs fought, they all had their own unique style and flair to them. Most of the humans would just get stomped, but even that, like when they portrayed the human king, the way he fought, the way the actual protagonist of the story fought, who were you rooting for?
I love Dorothan. I thought everything about the way he cared about his tribe, cared about his family, being forced into a new land, realizing that the fell is dangerous for his people, and him willing to sacrifice all for his clan.
I feel like there was a little like social and environmental commentary in the movie as well, slipped in there.
There was, but I didn't feel it was big enough to make a big deal about it.
Well, I don't know. I think it's kind of important. I mean, when you face things like climate control, not in modern times, it could like eradicate the planet for future generations.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, while it was maybe a slight undertone, it wasn't
crammed down.
Crammed down your face. It was saying, okay, well, the orcs came from a place where this magic that their leader is using destroyed their world, and now they have a world that they're in now that's not destroyed.
but they're starting to destroy
but
things.
they're starting to destroy things.
It's definitely there.
Yeah, oh, I'm not arguing it at all, but I mean, it wasn't crammed down your face. It was put there as this is the plight of these people.
Yes. Well, I don't know. I think popular culture can inform what's going on in the world and the future generations. So it's not a bad thing to slip in there when you can.
No, not at all.
So that was in there as well.
So you ask about who was I rooting for? Who were you rooting for?
Thrall. I know I need a couple more movies before that happens.
Well, I mean, it might. That might not be. Like, if the franchise does take off, like, the next movie has to be, what is the fallout of, this events, or do we gloss over and go right
and jump forward.
jump to what happens with Thrall.
So, and the other thing too is like one of the things they did a really good job with in this movie is not explaining things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when you try and explain every little thing, it really does ruin a story in a movie. Like, there's a half-orc, right, in this movie. They've never mentioned humans where they were from before, but there's a half-orc.
Right.
So there had to be something to make the other half,
Mm-hmm.
And she looked very human, and she, picked up the human tongue common very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, so that character was very interesting, and she had some great storylines, and was an awesome, fierce orc warrior woman.
She was quite cool. We'll see what happens with her storyline, if there's a storyline.
Yeah, that's the big problem with the numbers not being there.
So the CGI element, how did you feel about that?
Oh, I loved that. I thought they did a great job. The Griffin was amazing. When you finally got to see the Griffin and the rider fighting together, both mounted and unmounted, working in unison, that was really sweet.
Not only did they nail the proper movement of it flying like an eagle and walking like a lion, but when you've got a creature as complex as that, where you literally have to find a way to properly merge fur and feathers, I think they did a stupendous job. I'd love to find out how many hours programmers spent trying to pixelate that.
Also the wolves too, like the wolves the orcs were riding, because they weren't normal wolves.
No,
because those wolves were
wolves.
Yeah, because they were bigger than the horses. and to see the the orcs just basically manhandle the horses like they're nothing, which is crazy, makes them crazy strong.
Oh yeah.
So, like I said, this movie is everything all the D&D movies wasn't. This was an epic fantasy movie with great drama, great stories, and they really pulled you in and made you care about the characters, both on the orc side and on the human side. And really,
heck, I cared about Blackhand. I thought he was awesome. Like,
oh yeah, the one that had his hand blown off.
Yeah.
And even like that guy was kind of a dick, and even like in the end, like he even had like redeeming qualities, like, and it made you change how you felt and thought about that character.
Yeah.
So, and there was a lot of that throughout it. Like it wasn't black and white. Like these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. It wasn't that at all. There was conflict within the conflict that really pulled the viewer in. And it made you think like, man, these are some hard choices that they have to make.
It was layers on both sides, because not only did you have the conflict within the orcs, but when the humans reached out to say the dwarves and the elves how to deal with this, they're like, yeah,
sounds like a human problem to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great, and again, there's no explaining. There's no need to question. Oh well, why did they make the decision? And let's have lengthy debates and have a huge Senate meeting. It's just like, all right, we're just not doing this.
Well, they did that in like 3 minutes.
Last.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched it, I don't know what your holdup is. Go watch this movie. It was fantastic. Convince your friends. Let's get it back out there to make sure that this becomes an award-winning franchise, because it totally does.
Yeah, we need more Warcraft movies, and the only way it's going to happen is if you guys go and watch it.
Absolutely. So if you watched it, put your comments down below. If you haven't watched it, tell us why you haven't watched it. While you're commenting, like, share, even subscribe.
Check us out at nerdarchy.com.
So until next time, stay nerdy.